Medical apartheid, the untold story of black suffering at the hands of American medicine. For centuries, black bodies were used, abused, and exploited in the name of science. This is a history that was hidden, a history that changed the course of medicine, and a history that America has never fully confronted. It began during slavery. Enslaved black people were not seen as patients, they were seen as property, and their bodies became laboratories. Dr. James Marion Sims, celebrated as the father of modern gynecology, perfected his surgical techniques by operating on enslaved black women without anesthesia. Women named Anarcha, Betsy, and Lucy endured dozens of experimental surgeries, screaming in agony, while Sims refined procedures he would later perform on white women with anesthesia. Sims believed black people did not feel pain the same way white people did. This was not fringe science. It was mainstream medical belief, and it justified unspeakable cruelty. Medical schools needed bodies to study, and black bodies were the easiest to take. Throughout the 18th and 19th centuries, grave robbers, known as resurrection men, dug up the bodies of recently buried black Americans and sold them to medical colleges. Black cemeteries were raided so frequently that families would post armed guards at fresh graves. In some cities, laws were even passed that specifically authorized the use of black and poor bodies for dissection, while protecting white bodies from the same fate. The message was clear: in death as in life, black people existed to serve white institutions. In 1932, the United States Public Health Service launched what would become the most infamous medical experiment in American history, the Tuskegee syphilis study. 600 black men in Macon County, Alabama were enrolled in the study. 399 of them had syphilis. They were told they were being treated for bad blood. They were never told they had syphilis. They were never given treatment, even after penicillin became the standard cure in 1947. For 40 years, from 1932 to 1972, these men were deliberately left untreated so that researchers could study the progression of the disease in their bodies. Wives were infected. Children were born with congenital syphilis. Men went blind, went insane, and died. All while government doctors watched, took notes, and published papers. During the Cold War, the government needed to understand what nuclear radiation did to the human body, so they experimented on people who couldn't fight back. At the University of Cincinnati, Dr. Eugene Sayanger exposed 88 cancer patients, most of them black and poor, to massive doses of total body radiation, far beyond any therapeutic benefit. Many suffered agonizing nausea, vomiting, and death. At other institutions, researchers injected plutonium directly into patients without their knowledge. First, Elmer Allen, a black railroad porter, was injected with plutonium at a hospital in San Francisco. He was never told. His left leg was later amputated for study. These were not wartime emergencies. These were calculated experiments on American citizens. For much of the 20th century, state governments forcibly sterilized black women and girls in the name of eugenics. In North Carolina alone, more than 7,000 people were sterilized between 1929 and 1974. Black women were disproportionately targeted. Young girls were sterilized without their knowledge during routine medical procedures. Fannie Lou Hamer, the legendary civil rights activist, was sterilized without her consent during a minor operation in Mississippi in 1961. She later called it a Mississippi appendectomy because it was so common. This was not a rogue practice. It was state-sanctioned policy, supported by laws, funded by taxpayers, and carried out by licensed physicians. The legacy did not end with the civil rights movement. In the 1990s, researchers at the Kennedy Krieger Institute in Baltimore encouraged landlords to rent lead-painted homes to black families with young children, then measured the lead levels in the children's blood as they rose. The children were used as human sensors. In New York, researchers gave fenfluramine, a potentially dangerous drug, to 34 black and Hispanic boys, some as young as 6, to test a theory linking race to violence. These experiments happened in modern America, at prestigious institutions, with government funding. The pattern was the same as it had always been. Black bodies treated as expendable. Black pain treated as invisible. The consequences of this history are still felt today. Black Americans are significantly less likely to trust doctors, hospitals, and medical research. This distrust is not irrational. It is inherited wisdom passed down from generations who were burned by the system. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Black communities showed higher rates of vaccine hesitancy, not because of ignorance, but because of memory. When your grandmother tells you about Tuskegee, when your aunt was sterilized without consent, when your community watched its people used as guinea pigs for centuries, the decision to be cautious is not paranoia, it is survival. This history matters, not because it is comfortable, but because it is true. Medical apartheid is not ancient history, it is the foundation upon which modern American medicine was built. Acknowledging it is the first step toward repair. The bodies that were broken, the lives that were stolen, the trust that was shattered, they deserve to be remembered, they deserve to be honored, and this story deserves to be told. Remember their names, remember their pain, and demand that it never happens again.